I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Chelsea news video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here. We are closing in on 16K, so every new subscriber really helps. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And before we dive into today's video, people, make sure you check out Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off your Chelsea kits and free shipping. You can get names, numbers, sleeve patches, whatever you want. Quality is great, affordable prices, people. Link in the description, code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. And let's dive into today's video then, guys. A couple of things to go through. We've had a little update on Mykhailo Mudryk. I know a lot of you in the live shows and stuff have been asking, is there anything going on with Mudryk? What's happening? There's been a small update in regards to him. And there's also been some news surrounding Enzo Fernandez and those links to Real Madrid that have surfaced over the last week or so. But let's kick things off with the Mykhailo Mudryk situation then, guys, because a lot of us are wondering kind of what's going on here. Obviously, it was announced, back in December, I think it was, that Mudryk had failed a drugs test for a banned substance. He then obviously put a statement out on his social media saying that, he never knowingly took anything. And from there, that's kind of been it. Maresca was asked, I think, at the back end of February if there was any update, and he just literally said, no, don't think there is. And other than that, it's been very, very quiet. It feels like the case has been shrouded in secrecy. Obviously, these things are long. Legal battles can be very complex. So, it can take a long time to get any sort of outcome or any kind of meaningful update. I mean, I think it was reported, by Ben Jacobs, that Chelsea were expecting the result of the B sample in January. We're now mid-March and there's been no update on that. There's been no news on that. Now, whether they've got the result and they're choosing to not disclose that information, maybe that's the case. I'm not sure. But there's been a small update from Kieran Gill in the Daily Mail, guys. Now, I don't know if you saw it, people, but there were some quotes that appeared on socials. There were some quotes that appeared on socials, guys, on an account, Frank Khalid, I think his name is. He's got quite a big following, over 1 million followers, I believe. And he put out some fake quotes about Mudryk, some fake quotes that he supposedly said about losing members of his family in the conflict in the war between Russia and Ukraine. And obviously, as people do on the internet, they just lap it up, think it's real, take everything for gospel. A big account posting false quotes and stuff, it's pretty poor reflection on him. I don't know him personally, but come on, you're better than that. You've got a big platform. Don't be posting fake shit. But yeah, so obviously Kieran Gill at the Mail has done a kind of a deep dive into things. He's contacted Mykhailo Mudryk's team. And those quotes shared on social media, not true. Kieran Gill saying he's been told by the Ukrainians team that Mudryk has not said a word. So just to clear that up there. Also, interestingly, Mudryk has not been charged by the FA yet. He's still only provisionally suspended. So there's been no charge from the FA. He's still only provisionally suspended, which makes me think that maybe there is no B sample back yet. Maybe there's something going on here and they're investigating it and there's some sort of legal process and I'm not going to release the results of a B sample potentially until there's the outcome of that. Look, I'm purely speculating here, but there must be a reason why A, the B sample potentially is not back after all this time, or B, why that information has not been disclosed. There must be something going on. But obviously, as we know, Mudryk, has been provided a training program by Chelsea to stay fit whilst he's not allowed at the training ground. And that's kind of where we are with that situation right now. But it's interesting that he's not been charged. He has not been charged by the FA. He is still only provisionally suspended. He has not played for Chelsea since the end of November against Heidenheim. I think at the start of December, he was an unused sub in the 3-0 win against Villa. And that was the last time we saw him in the match day squad. But questions we need to know, guys. Is the B sample back? What is the finding of the B sample? Is Mudryk still contesting the original result of the drugs test. Has Mudryk and his team, have they found out how the sample given in the test contained the banned substance? And what sort of timeline are we looking at here? These are questions that we need answers to, and these are questions that unfortunately we still don't have the answers to. But yeah, just to clarify, that's a small update on the Mykhailo Mudryk situation. Quotes that are out on social media this week, not true. He's not said anything, and he's still yet to be charged by the FA. And he's currently provisionally suspended. So the mystery goes on as to why there's been very, very little updates and no sign of a B sample over 3 months after the original news broke. Now, moving away from the Mudryk situation onto Enzo Fernandez, guys. Now, there have been some reports in recent weeks, dubious sources, I'd have to say, that Enzo Fernandez is the subject of interest from Real Madrid. Obviously, I don't know where this comes from. I don't want to say that people are making stuff up, but I don't really know where these come from. I've not really seen it from any credible sources, but it's been categorically denied by Chelsea. Bobby Vincent put in a piece out yesterday stating that Chelsea have no intention of selling Enzo Fernandez in the summer, despite Real Madrid links. 24-year-old seen as an integral part of Chelsea's future, and sources close to Stamford Bridge say he will be a Chelsea player for many years to come. Now, obviously, you cannot predict the future. If Chelsea continue to miss out on the Champions League, then you could understand maybe why players like Enzo Fernandez would look to potentially move on. And if Real Madrid were to come knocking, it's very difficult to turn down. It's also particularly difficult if you're, a South American player. I think it's even harder. But it doesn't matter where you're from. If that knock comes from a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how happy you are. 9 times out of 10, you're taking that. Now, look, by all accounts, I don't think any knocks have come from the likes of Real Madrid. But let's have a quick look at this article and what we're saying here, people. So, Chelsea expect Enzo Fernandez to be at the club for a very long time. The 24-year-old, who cost 106 million in January 2023, has been linked with a move to Real Madrid in the summer. In recent days, reports from Spain have credited Los Blancos with an interest in Fernandez, but the Blues have no interest whatsoever in parting ways with the Argentine. He's viewed as a massive part of the club's future, and as it stands, is one of the first names on the team sheet. So there we go. So yeah, Chelsea not planning to sell Enzo Fernandez. Now, people can believe what they want at the end of the day. It's all opinions. No one truly knows whether this is true or not, other than the people inside the club and the people in Fernandez's team and in and around him. Okay. Now, people can have an opinion that this is not true, and that is their opinion. Okay. But look, if Real Madrid were to come knocking, then would Enzo do everything possible to leave Chelsea? I don't know. We don't know the answer to that. You would think that it would be very appealing, sure, but we don't know. We don't know, guys. That's the reality here. I mean, we got to be clear here as well. If we continue to miss out on the Champions League, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to move on. What I would also say is that Enzo is one of the only players, or one of the very few players at the club who has got that passion, that fight, that desire, genuinely loves this club, genuinely really wants to be here. I'm not saying that other players don't want to be here, but he's one of the ones that you outwardly can see really cares. He's got the passion to play for Chelsea, loves Chelsea. He's got that connection with the fans, gives 100% on the pitch every single time. You can really tell that in his performances. He's having a brilliant season this season. His best since he joined the club. The system seems to suit him. He's fit. He's free of those injury issues. And of course, he's an integral part of Chelsea's future. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But it's also fair to say that if Real Madrid did come knocking, then we'd be lying if he wouldn't think about it, because of course he would. Any player would think about it. And look, ultimately, people can have their whatever opinions they want. If people think it's nonsense, people think it's PR, people can think what they want to think, but ultimately, it's just their opinion. People trying to spin their opinion as fact is nonsense. It really is. You know, it's an opinion that he'll do anything to leave, because no one's told any fans that he's leaving. That would be an opinion. There's a big difference, and too many people don't realize the difference between opinion and fact. You know, but ultimately, this is not an Enzo Fernandez thing. You know, who wouldn't want to join Madrid if they came knocking? Who wouldn't? You know, and people again are just basing, oh, we would definitely go, he'd do whatever he could to leave if they came knocking. Based on what? Based on assumptions. You know, he's the vice captain of this football club. He's playing for the badge every week. He loves this club. I'm not saying he wouldn't go, but it's just it's very presumptive to just think, oh, he'd want out straight away if Real Madrid came knocking. But I don't personally agree with that. But yeah, look, Chelsea are planning for Enzo Fernandez to be a big part of the future. Up to you whether you want to believe that or not. But I truly believe that he does want to be here. However, we need to be winning trophies, and we need to be challenging, and we need to be in the Champions League every single season if we are going to keep these kinds of players. That's the reality of the situation. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on a little bit of Chelsea news, guys. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe, as I said, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll catch you again in another one soon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.